What's up, Happiest Hour family, and welcome back to another episode of the Happiest Hour on Earth. Tonight we have a very exciting show because we are bringing on Ariel, who was a former Plaid, which is a Disneyland tour guide, on our show, and we are so excited to have her on. She's just such an amazing person, and I just can't wait to hear all of the stories that she has.
I know. I've been excited to hear from her for a while now because anyone that has been a Plaid must have some pretty cool stories from the park.
Yeah, it's one of the more like elusive job opportunities, I believe, at the Disney parks. And so just really, really excited and thankful that she's able to come on our show.
Yeah,
and I am so pumped. We usually do a snack or a drink, especially now when we have someone on the show, but we just got back from Lake Tahoe. It's been a busy week. This week, we're actually going to Disneyland. So it's just been pretty insane. And we just moved too. So a lot. So fortunately, we don't have any, but hopefully we'll get inspired again after our next trip. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, we'll be making something soon for sure.
Yeah, so a lot of moving parts, but we cannot wait for this trip. This episode is coming out on a Friday, and we leave on a Saturday. Have 2 days in the park. I wish we were going a little bit longer, but we are meeting up with Market House Podcast, some great friends of ours. We're also going to be seeing two people who we had on the show before and we love so much too. Disney Bars blog. I believe we're going to be seeing Kaylin from D Capella in the park. It's just going to be a party all around, and I cannot wait.
Lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We haven't seen Toontown. We haven't seen the shows, and so we'll probably give our thoughts on these new experiences that we will be getting to see in real life soon. So
we've got a lot to pack into 2 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to be crazy, but I'm ready for it. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a blast. And speaking of having a blast, I think we are ready to call up Ariel. Should we do it?
So let's do
All right,
it.
let's go.
Ariel, hello. Thank you for coming on our show.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Emily. How are you guys doing?
We're great.
We're doing so good. Looks like you're doing good because you have your
sweet
little
pup
pup
next
there.
to you.
Can you introduce your pup? She is so cute.
Yes. So this is Scarlett. She's about a year old, and
she's
What a
adorable.
sweetheart.
has separation anxiety. I hate to admit it, but
It's all
from
right.
working from home, it's been just me and her. So, you know, she's like my little shadow.
I love it.
I have the same thing that is the situation with my son. So
A little toddler.
yeah.
That's awesome.
You're
Well,
here
this
for a
is,
baby.
this is awesome because I didn't realize we're going to have two guests on.
Yeah.
And it's,
Little sidekick.
a little pup. I love it. So cute.
Very much welcome to stay on the whole time, Scarlett.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And just a happy belated Mother's Day to Emily.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And to you too. I think fur babies count for sure.
That definitely
yeah.
counts. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We've been really excited for this episode, and we just can't wait to hear some of your stories. I mean, to be a Plaid is a pretty amazing accomplishment in the Disney world. So we're just really excited to hear from you.
Yeah. I will admit it happened a lot faster than I thought it was going to. You know, it's just one of those things that randomly, the position came up. And so, yeah, it was definitely something I had on my bucket list at some point in my career with Disney. But I just didn't know that it was going to be so soon because I had been with I don't know if I'm just kind of jumping in here, but
Yeah, no, go for it. This is so
Just
amazing.
start, yeah.
So yeah, I had started in attractions, and my first attraction was Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, which by far was one of my best experiences at Disneyland, just because it was, you know, it's an omnimover, so you're not it's not super. Not a lot of stuff's going on, and it's like a first attraction. So, you know, you kind of get to learn your footing and stuff like that, but also you're with little kids, and it's like it's a really fun ride that not a lot of people, it's not on a lot of favorite lists, but whenever I go now, I have to go on it just because, you know, it just has such good memories.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to Autopia. You got to choose between Autopia or Star Tours for your second attraction.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to, you can try out and go go for Space Mountain, which was my plan.
Nice. I bet Buzz was kind of nice because you're inside, you get the AC.
Yeah.
Autopia must have been like a little bit different, a little bit
Yeah.
warmer. And then Space Mountain, were you inside for space too?
Yeah. So most of the time, I mean, the only time you're outside in space is when you're doing the fast pass or
Yeah.
you are working the exit,
Yeah.
to help the parties with wheelchairs or any special guests or stuff like that. So yeah, those are the times you're really only outside. And I mean, with Autopia though, especially in the summer, it was
That would be rough.
killer because it'd be like 10 degrees hotter because of the asphalt. And then and then you have the fumes too.
Yeah.
Which,
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that
Adds to the passing out.
it's a strong smell.
Happen.
Yeah. And I noticed that I started getting headaches a little bit. And I'm like, that's probably because I was like in the fumes for 8 hours. Because Autopia, unfortunately, was one of those attractions where we had a lot of call outs. So, I mean, I was there and I lived like 35 minutes away. So I would just pick up extra hours where I could if I was already there. Like if I was going to be working all day anyways, like I'd go in early. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's rough.
So you started in attractions. When was that? Was that 20? I don't know. Was that
2018?
18? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was October, like the end of October is when I had my traditions class, and then my first shift was like the very first week of November, so right in the swing of like holiday season.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so it was so fun getting to kind of, I mean, everyone's joyous around that time. Like it's hard to not be like happy at the happiest place on earth, but like especially there's just something special and magical about it being Christmas time. You're seeing the decorations switch from the Halloween to Christmas, and so that's good. Just a really good introduction to just what Disney is and represents.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. That's so great.
How long were you working? Because you said you kind of got fast tracked into the process, and I'm so curious. Like for people who want to be plaids, is there a time period that it usually takes? And then for you, how long did it take? Was it a few months? Was it like a year in? Then you just got thrown into being a plaid? I just
probably helps to already be working there and kind of have that in and know people.
So they at the time were doing hiring for internal only. So, and this was probably, I would say about a year. I had only been at Space Mountain like 3 weeks or maybe a month, if I remember correctly, but I hadn't been there that long before I saw an opening, and I talked to my leads and stuff like that, and they were totally supportive. So I just applied, and again, it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, shoot for the moon. Like if I don't get it this time, that's okay. Like I was expecting not to be there. That was like almost a 5-year plan for me. It could be different for other people, but just depending on the career path, because there are so many different options and like steps you can take, even just within one land, within attractions or that specific department you're in. So yeah, I saw an opening for guest relations and I applied and I got it. And so I started training about 3 weeks after that.
Wow. My crazy. Gosh, that really happened fast.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I bet you were so excited.
Yeah, I was. It's just an honor to be a part of something that was around and established by Walt himself. And, just you get to make the magic, and you are responsible for helping turn somebody's day around if it goes awry or if there's something that happens. And I always kind of wanted to do guest relations because I feel like that's one of my good personality traits is I can, I'm really personable and I can empathize with people. So planning a big day and something going wrong, or even just being able to be a part of the shows, set up for the fireworks or Fantasmic was really neat too.
Oh, I'm sure. Awesome. So we had a couple of listeners from our Instagram ask a question. We have Erica Adventures and Plan Disney with Jill, who both asked, what was the training process like to become a plaid? Was there a lot of trivia that you had to practice up on before?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because versus attractions, yeah, it was an intense process. So it's three, I want to say, I can't remember. I want to say it was 2 weeks in total.
Wow.
And that's like full days. And you're not only taking classes to learn about the different programs like DOS, which is for people with disabilities. And there's also just different things you need to know. You were expected to know where the nearest bathroom was,
Oh
the
yeah.
nearest like food places, and it'd be good to you'd have to know the show times and stuff. Then you get into handling the VIP list for the fireworks show and helping fill that
Oh
section
man.
when you had to
Wow.
backfill it. So
Yes.
there was definitely a little bit more that I guess that you could mess up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but also, you're in City Hall or in Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
and you're learning how to handle the till. You're helping get return times for guests.
Mm.
So really,
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into being a plaid. Just in
Yeah.
in whatever position you're in for that day.
Yeah. Oh man.
I can't even imagine how much you had to learn ahead of time. That's overwhelming to even think
Yeah.
about.
So in guest relations, I mean, there's a wide variety of, different tasks that you have to do in guest relations, but is everyone who is a plaid, do they give those VIP tours, or like what's the day kind of look like?
So, being a tour guide, that is just another branch of guest relations. You have to do a
Mm.
separate audition for that. And there's different types of tours. So, like, there's the walk and waltz footsteps tour, which that's a whole
Mhm.
separate one. That's the one I did. But then there's also
Oh,
being a
nice.
VIP tour guide where you're with a family for a minimum of 6 hours, and you're with them pretty much the whole day planning from when they start to when they leave the park. And if you had a VIP tour, you were booked for that day, just one party, because a lot of the
Mm.
times people would just ask if the person can extend. And so you would only be booked
Oh,
probably
okay.
one tour for that. But if
Mm.
it was like a walk in waltz footsteps tour, you could have a couple of tours that day and then just, take breaks as needed. But really, the VIP tour guides, like they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they're
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, like just go go go. So that one, I think, is the a more intense part of being in guest relations. But then also too, it was nice where you could have those days where you didn't work till like 6, and that was setting up the fireworks or for one of the shows, and you would
Yeah.
just go and get the chairs, set up the chairs, and you would create the barricade. You would check people in, and then you could help backfill, which for fireworks too, that really lent to creating special moments, just because you would be like see this little family, and like it had been their first time, and so you were like, hey, do you guys want to come and sit in this like special
Oh
section to see
man.
the fireworks? So that was
Oh
always cool. One of my
That's
favorite parts of the job, because it was a little bit gave me a chance to talk with the guests more.
yeah.
And just like I said, your week could definitely look different just depending on if you what you were trained in. And sometimes you
Yeah.
could get pulled, like if one of the tour guides was called out, you could get pulled from like a city hall shift to
Yeah.
go and give a tour. So it's just like I said,
Wow.
basically the needs where the needs were where you were
Yeah.
Yeah.
at.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So I didn't even know that they would backfill like VIP sections for shows and stuff like that. How
Yeah.
often does that happen? Do you know like ahead of time, or do you just kind of know at that moment and then you get to kind of find a little family to
Yeah.
backfill in those sections?
So you would check everyone into the section that was supposed to be there. You would make
Yeah.
sure everyone that had VIP was there. And if it was, I would say, if there were a couple of rows even, or, like they would say, like, go and get a family. And then you would slowly like on days where there was not a lot of people in the VIP section, we'd be able to bring in quite a few people. And just, again, it's one of those experiences that adds the cherry to the topping on, an already incredible day. And just to be able to like pull a family that, had flown in from, across the country to visit with their kids, and you're just seeing them after a long day, and with fireworks it's always like standing room only, so just to be able to like offer them a seat and like just to relax and enjoy the fireworks show was always very cool. And we, especially in like during Christmas time, I would say we backfilled, I mean, pretty much every day. It just depends. They definitely want the section to look full, though.
It's like a win-win. It looks like people bought in, but then you're also like giving that magic to a lot of people. That's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that they did that.
Now I feel like I'm just gonna like stand near the VIP section and just be like,
accidentally being there.
So had a very long day.
A tip, or I didn't say it, but I would recommend having a first time shirt, or like a family, everyone wearing the same type of shirt. That's what I heard from a friend.
Vacation shirt. Ooh, okay. I like that.
Good tip that we did not hear from you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, of course. So you said that you did do some walk in Walt's footsteps. We've always wanted to do that tour. Yeah. Or just like any of those tours. I know there was like a train tour for a while. I forgot what it's called, but for those tours, do you what is that like? Do you have to do the tour a couple of times and kind of soak that memory in? Do you have like a little bullet point list
there was
or is it all off the cuff?
A 3-page kind of manuscript that you're basically talking about just the history and Walt's past, and just kind of like tying it in with Disneyland today. And it was 3 whole pages that you had to memorize. And it's incredibly nerve-wracking when you're trying to do this in front of people, because you're training at the same time with others, and other people might not get it, and other people, they might really excel, and so you're like making friends, but you're also like there are only a certain amount of spots, and I don't want to mess this up. So but I mean, it was a great experience. And again, just the more I got to learn about the park and the history, I felt made me just a better cast member overall.
Yeah, that's so crazy too, because like I'm sure you had some sort of love for Disney before, but especially within guest relations and being a Plaid, there's probably so much more that you learn and kind of appreciate, because I'm sure there's some places that you get to see that the general public doesn't, and you almost feel this kind of like presence of Walt, because it's more limited, more intimate, and and I bet that's just pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, even like I said, just the moment that's almost like takes your breath away. Like you're getting to see and feel like Walt's presence, like it sounds cheesy, but really like being in this department, you get to make the magic and you feel it. And that's what, it's so funny, because I didn't realize how much I would love working at Disneyland until I started working there. And, it was one of those things where it was just like, it just seemed to like kind of fall into place, like attractions. I had some of my best times in attractions, and then I got to go to guest relations and experience that and make some really good friends and memories, so that was, it was something so special. And they'd have like little picture ops for the cast members, like at certain times. So if a ride was celebrating a birthday, or they would have like little photo booth op, like, and you could get like actual professional pictures taken at these, and it's it was just really cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
So another Instagram follower and listener of the show, Jordan the Swan, asked, what was the coolest space you've ever set foot in at the resort?
So Walt's apartment was really cool, but there's also when I was in attractions at Space Mountain, after I had gotten signed off, there was this beam where they took you. It was kind of like in the back, in like down a hallway, you know, kind of, it was underneath the ride, but there was a pillar that all the cast members, when they got signed off at Space Mountain and they had their like they got officially signed off, they would go and sign it. And so I think that, you know, is one of the coolest things. Just each ride has their own like little thing that they do, or you know, but you know, just it's hard to pinpoint too. Just like some of the things,
sure there's a lot.
Yeah, because even just like stuff you don't realize, like where they keep the chairs for, you know, the shows. Like that's, you know, it's just getting to see the inner workings of it, and just a small part of the operations that goes on. It's incredible. But there's also and I'm gonna forget the name of it, but it's the room above where
is it above Pirates? Is it the
yes
the Dream Suite?
Yeah, it was like the Dream Suite, and then now it's like the what do they call it? Like 21 Royal.
Yes.
Like now you could pay to have dinner there and stuff.
Yeah,
you
we got to
there.
tour that too.
Oh my gosh.
And that was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
So crazy.
Yeah.
With the Walk and Walt's Footsteps tour, did you guys get to go on? I forgot if that's like included in that tour, but were there any tours that you actually did get to go on rides and bring people, you know, immediately on the ride and all that stuff?
So I was actually going to go for that and like start auditioning and training and stuff, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So I didn't happen to do that just yet. If I were to ever go back, I would probably like that would be my next goal, or you know, like my like box I want to check off. But that was always, you know, like the elite of the elite plaids. Like, you know, there's like different levels where it's like being a plaid is just like, oh, okay, you know, it's got this whole standard and kind of thing behind it, but then it's like, oh, you know, like you're a tour guide, then you're a VIP tour guide, you know, and there were always these specific ones where they're like kind of mini celebrities, because you knew they were the ones that were like would handle the A-listers that would, you know, kind of definitely, you know, like I said, they were mini celebrities to us.
Were there? Oh my gosh. Well, the first thing I have to say too is that like no matter where you are in the Disney company, even down to like the maintenance and like janitors, everyone works together to create such a magical experience. So props to all the cast members, because like no matter where you are, that all kind of works in conjunction to make a magical experience for someone, even if it's someone that you don't think about. But with the VIP tour guides, would you see some of the VIP tour guides, and would they kind of murmur about who they were giving a tour to that day? And were there any celebrities that you knew, like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to like peek at them at the parks? Like, would you know, like that day there's someone coming?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're backstage, it's always, and I hate to say this because I think you make such a good point, and like everyone, no matter, even if it's they don't interact with the guests, if it's like somebody that's working our parking lot, you know, like it takes so many people. And so, I mean, it does, I hate saying it, but it can get a little cliquey where like, if you're with Desperations, you're going to sit with people that you know, but I remember one day Britney Spears was there and I was getting off. And I was like trying to get over to see if I could even just get a glimpse of her or something. But I didn't make it in time. And I was like, oh, darn it.
So close.
Yeah. But I know I got to talk to Ali and AJ Machaka. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I remember them.
I was working Buzz Lightyear that day though.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was working Buzz Lightyear and they came through the back, and like one of them asked about the little green men, or the aliens. And so I had like a quick conversation. I was like the Omni-Movers going. Just like, okay, bye.
That's oh my gosh, that is so cool. Awesome.
And then my friend, she cried when she got to load and unload Ariana Grande. So So yeah,
yeah, I bet it's always a little shocking to see someone like
whenever that happens, it's
not
always exciting.
expecting.
It's always like the highlight of the week.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be
funny.
good at that. I think my face, in my head, I would be like, I'm acting so calm, but my face would be kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. How do you stay that calm?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
kind
guess
of impossible.
You just got to expect it, right? And just be like on guard at all times.
Yeah,
Just
and-
chill. You're like, oh, easy.
Yeah, keep it
Yeah.
cool.
And there was always kind of like, there were regular people, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they would have to interact with
Mhm.
you, like I said, if they ask me a question, like I'm totally able to respond, and it's not like I have to be mute, but it's definitely like, don't actively like, go out and be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and it's so funny.
Yeah,
'cause
Yeah.
sometimes like I would think that I'd be like super excited and kind of like freak out, but I would just go in within myself and I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, like nothing, like just
It's a person. It's just a person.
yeah, I just kind of like, oh,
That's
cool,
so funny.
and then they'd walk by and, so.
That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
awesome. I know you recently went to the Eras tour, so you're a big T Swift
Yes.
fan. If you saw T Swift in the park,
okay,
would it be a little
yeah.
bit harder too?
I would
I
have
think
to
we
go
have a little
crazy.
bit.
I feel like it'd be more shell shock though, because even at the Eras
Yeah.
tour, I was just like crying within like an
Just-
hour of like 3 times, separate times, at the Eras show, and I'm like, I don't even know how I would communicate with this person like in real life.
Yeah.
But
That's so funny.
also, too, one time when I was in working the fireworks, I got to meet Kevin Feige, which that
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. No way.
yeah, that was
So was he like in the VIP?
Yeah, he was in the
you
fireworks
wanted to see the
section.
fireworks?
Yeah.
That's so
I know,
awesome.
and I was like,
So
oh my
cool.
gosh, because I heard he was going to be in the park at the beginning of my shift, and so I was like, oh, like he's probably
Okay.
going to be here for fireworks. I'm probably not going to see him or whatnot, and he walks up like directly to me, and I'm just like, you're
my
so
gosh.
cool. Like I kept it cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, yeah, no problem. He asked me a few questions, but inside I'm like, my nerdy self was just like, oh my God, he is like
Yes.
one of the most important people to like, like the Marvel
Seriously.
Cinematic Universe, and I get to share space with him. So like that was
I know.
probably
Oh my
my
gosh.
geekiest time, where like inside I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy is so cool. Like
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. He seems so calm and collected every time I see like him in an interview or talking. But I'm like, he's made so many films connect together. I'm like, how do you handle that in your brain?
Yeah.
But
how's your brain work like
he
that?
seems like the chillest guy ever. So that must have been just crazy. to
Yeah,
meet him.
and it
It's
was
like there's so much going on in your brain.
yeah, and it was just like so organic, where like I said, he just walks up to me and I automatically knew. I was like, that's Kevin Feige. I was like, holy smokes, like you're kind of my hero. I was just like, this is one of the coolest days of my life. Like I don't care, like I'm such a big comic book fan, and just to be able to
Yeah.
meet him, and again, it's just incredible that the what's come from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just the impact it's had on just the land, and especially in
Yeah.
California Adventure, where it's like I said, they have the Mission Breakout now, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like they're
Oh, it's the
and,
best.
Yeah.
it's crazy. So it's definitely, that was, I think, for me, one of the best times of my little guest relations time, and that was like, I think, one of the most influential people I got to meet like directly.
That's
I
so
love that.
amazing.
Yeah. Actually,
Wow.
on that topic, our next question.
Yeah, that kind of was our next question, or our last of our actual interview questions. What was your favorite experience? You can kind of just name off
Yeah, name
however
a
many you
couple.
want, because
Just
I'm sure
we're
you have a
here.
lot.
Yeah.
You've already mentioned a few, but whatever fun experiences you want to talk about.
Yeah,
go for it.
so
Go ham.
there was one time, I think the most special time that I got to help out with was helping a proposal. And so a
Aw.
guy came up to me, and he was going to be deployed, and he had recently signed up for the Army,
Oh.
and he wanted to
wow.
propose to his girlfriend, and he was just like, can you help me make this happen? And so I was like, yeah. So he wanted to have a shot, I want to say right after the first fireworks show, or there was something going on, and he wanted to have a shot in front of the castle with no one in the background. And so I was like, okay, we're only going to have a small amount of time to do this. So I got one of the photographers. I ran and had to go into the backstage and get someone. I was like, can you please help me do this? And so then I was like, okay, we're going to do this. Like, I'm plotting with him. He's trying not to like have her like be, you know, in the conversation. So, you know, like we're trying to plan all of this. And so I just remember like seeing her expression, and just like we got the moment, you know, like it was one of those things where it just happened to work out. And so they dropped the ropes, and we got them right before everyone started getting in the walkway and stuff, and it was just really sweet. You know, like I said, the cutest couple. They were young and in love, and it was just to be able to be a part of their special day, you know, whether it's a birthday or something as you know, special as a proposal, like just to be able to be a part of that, and to that story, and you know, like they're going to remember that for the rest of their days. So, you know, just it was amazing because you always hear like, oh, you get, you know, you got somebody gets to help with a proposal. Like that was always a big thing too, is getting to help with these things, you know, because they don't happen as often as you think, but still, when you get to be a part of that, it's always just really amazing, because again, it reminds you of the power of just, you know, that interaction that you have with them, that you can make magic and you can, you know, help create an unforgettable memory.
That is so awesome.
To get to be a part of that. It's so special.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, when you step foot into Disneyland, there is just a magic that's there. And really it's a lot of people behind the scenes that you just don't, you know, realize. And that's so cool that like I've learned so much about the guest relations department. You guys are doing so many things, but one of the responsibilities is to create that magic for people, whether that's helping them literally find the nearest bathroom. That's magical if you really have to go, right?
In that moment,
creating
it's
all the ways to
magical.
proposal.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go into guest relations, because it is just you have that power to make someone's trip that much more special, because like you said, as soon as you step in the park, you feel it, you smell it, you are just inundated with, you know, this like sense of this is amazing, incredible. Like you walk in, you see the castle, and you're just like blown away. And then it's like even something as small as helping find a restroom, or helping get reservations, or help make a situation that might have gone wrong, help make it right to the guests. That's something I really enjoyed. And you know, no matter where I was, just being able to be in the park, and you know, just like I said, just enjoy the park for what it is. And I mean, even if I went on my days off, you never got tired of it. Like, you know, it's just one of those things where I would go there on my days off. Like I'd bring my sister or my nephews, and you know, like that's a whole nother level of like getting to share those memories with them too.
Yep.
Oh,
that's
so
true.
cool.
And that's something I've always like wondered about, is if you work there as a cast member, like, does it ruin the magic of being there when you're not at work? Because it feels like you're at work, or is it, you know, I guess maybe it's different for everybody, but I guess, you know, for some it's still just as magical no matter when you're there.
I mean, I went definitely a couple of times when I was younger, but there's never been a time where I've gone more than when I worked there. And again, you get to see your friends, or, you know, like I said, it's just even going for a churro and to watch the fireworks, you know, just something little and small like that. Or again, like my sister and I, like she hadn't been in so long, and we found our new obsession, which is churro toffee. And so now every time we go to Disneyland, we have to get churro toffee. So,
oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I know I've had churro popcorn, like churro kettle corn, I guess, which which is amazing, but I don't think I've had the toffee. Now I feel like I want to find that.
Do they sell those in like the little bags in like the candy shop, or where do you get those? Because I don't think I've had that either.
Yeah.
You get them at the
wanna find 'em.
confectionery.
A confectionary. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
we're gonna have to find some.
Oh, you
Some churro
absolutely.
toffee. We'll
Well,
let
you
you know
know
when
it's
we try it.
dangerous.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm
Addicting, I'm sure.
when you're at Disneyland, it's like let's
Yeah.
just
The
go
rules are out the
crazy.
window.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna be there so soon, so we have to
Yeah.
find the churro toffee.
Yes,
That
that's
sounds
on the
amazing.
list.
I
now. We'll
Yeah,
go over
we'll
there.
write it down here. So good. Well, before we, say our goodbyes, which this has just been the best conversation.
It
So
has.
thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining. But we want to do a little get to know Ariel. We have a couple of, Ariel's favorites that we want to ask because we always ask these, and it just helps people get to know you a little bit more. So I think one of the biggest ones here is, what is your favorite Disney character?
Okay, is it? I always feel weird saying Ariel because
I was
like
literally gonna say Ariel. Must be Ariel.
and it's so funny because people would come up to me and they'd be like, "Is that your real name?" Or like, is it? They assumed you got Disney names, I guess. Yeah.
Changed my name just because I worked here.
Right, exactly. Or like I chose Ariel when I got hired. Yeah. So I think Ariel has just become mine.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Like I said, especially with the live action and stuff like that, I think she's just always been, like she was who I was named after. Like my sisters made my parents take them to go see The Little Mermaid, and all of my sisters' names start with A. One's Alana, which is one of Ariel's sisters. And so,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so
That's so cool.
So she's just naturally mine. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's also it's hard not to love just the classics, like Mickey, Minnie, and Tigger, and but I think overall Ariel has to be my favorite.
Okay, next question is, what is your favorite Disney movie?
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Actually, I love Sleeping Beauty. I think that has to be one of my favorites.
Classic.
Yeah, that was like my childhood. Whenever I was at my babysitters, I pick a Disney movie to watch, like on VHS. If they know what those are
the good old days.
nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it was Sleeping Beauty. I think is my favorite, with Pinocchio being a very close second.
Ooh,
I love it. All the
that.
classics are always going to be so high ranked on my list too.
Yeah.
They're just, it's what it's all about, where it all began.
Yeah.
Sleeping Beauty's such a great story, and then like the best villain.
Yeah.
Come on, like Maleficent
The
is the
scariest.
scariest, and just so incredible. And then just the artwork too. It's just so amazing.
It
and
is
then
so good.
you saying Pinocchio. I know you know my sister Danica.
Yeah.
She cannot ride the Pinocchio ride without closing her eyes
She
during the
hates
Monstro
Monstro.
scene. Yeah, she hates Monstro.
Oh.
Ever since we were like kids, and when I was like, oh yeah, that tracks because you're a kid,
Right.
But even to this
It's
day,
stuck with her.
30s, whatever, she still cannot hang with Monstro.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
it's
so
just
funny.
it's an animatronic, but okay, yeah, but she.
Brings back all those childhood fears.
I need to send a picture of it to her.
I
I think I did one time, and she was like, "I hate you."
Yeah,
I
like
was
while we were going through, I was like, there he
She
is.
said, "Well."
That's amazing. I'm gonna make her go on that with me. I'm gonna be like, "Oh, Danica, let's go."
Literally, she will. It's like a torture chamber for
Yeah.
her. It's hysterical.
Oh.
Yep.
But yeah, to this day, she hates it.
I was that way for
He
a
is pretty
long
scary.
time with Roger Rabbit.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
just because
it's just wild and crazy.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
spinning around. And
Very
it's just like there's so
stimulating.
much going on. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
was
it
Roger
is a
Rabbit
lot.
was that for me.
No, Snow White for me. The way the Evil
the
Queen turns
queen, yeah.
around and she's the
Yeah.
the old hag
So
or whatever.
spooky.
That scared me so much because you're like, how do they do that transition?
Yeah.
And you get so close to her. That
Yeah.
that
You
still
feel like
freaks me
you're
out.
just right there.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But it makes it all the more fun, right?
Yeah.
Like to
The
be scared
immersion.
like that,
It's all
yeah.
about the immersion.
Oh yeah.
So good. Oh, I love
So
it.
good.
So speaking of rides,
Yeah,
last
on that
question,
note.
because we knew that you also did
Worked
some
rides.
attractions, and you also probably got to see the park a lot working in guest relations. But what is your all-time favorite Disney ride?
Okay, so Space Mountain in Disneyland, and then
Yes.
Guardians of the
Nice.
Galaxy Mission Breakout for California Adventure. That has eked up. It's almost surpassed Space Mountain, but those two are my
it's
ultimate favorite
incredible.
rides.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I
Yep.
love it.
Good picks.
The thrill you get still in Space Mountain every time it
Mhm.
like speeds up, I just freak out. Like it feels new to me every time.
Yeah.
And then Guardians, we were big, which Em's actually
Yeah.
wearing a Tower of Terror shirt right now.
Oh my
But we're huge Tower of Terror fans, and we're so mad. We're like, we love Guardians, but I'm so mad Tower of Terror is going.
Yeah.
Guardians turned out to be like one of the most fun rides
It
ever.
is.
It's
They really
so
they did
good.
it well.
I
It's
remember
so fun.
my mom. I took my parents to Disneyland one day. It was just a random day, and it was like, oh, we should go to Disneyland. Like we have nothing else to do. So
Yeah.
we get in. We're getting Starbucks breakfast, talking the whole time about how Tower of Terror was changed to Guardians of the Galaxy, and so
Yeah.
I'm telling my mom about it, and like we're just talking, standing in this 40-minute line. And I assumed she knew there was a drop and like what the ride was. But we get on and we have the first drop, and I look at my mom, and she's mid panic attack. And then I look over at my dad, and he's having the time of his life. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
my mom is like,
Yeah,
I'm never
you
going
didn't
on
know
that
that
again.
was
And I'm just
coming.
like, I thought you knew what it was. Like you were talking about Tower of
That's
Terror.
so
Like,
funny. Yeah.
That
I
is
didn't think I needed to
so
clarify,
funny.
like, hey, this has a huge drop. Like I thought you knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see how high it is. How tall
I
it
know.
is.
The thing that's so great about Guardians is that like Tower of Terror, it was like scary and the drops,
Mhm.
so it like went hand in hand. But with Guardians, you're getting the scare of the drops, but the music is like
Yeah.
tricking your mind to just say like,
It's
I'm
just
having
fun.
so much fun. So it's like this weird
Yeah, it
dynamic where
balances itself.
you just almost feel like you're a part of the music, and it's like less scary but more fun, even though it's a scary thing to fall. Like it's just so awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I
Yeah.
love how the drops, they're different.
They
with-
change
yeah,
Yeah.
with each song, and then even in the Halloween one, like it's just great. Like I said,
Oh, the monster. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
Yeah.
good.
amazing.
It's very well done.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love it. Well, oh my gosh, Ariel, we just had the best time with you. Thank you so much for coming
Yes.
on to our show. Hopefully one day when we're in the park, we could run into you and we could go on Guardians and Space. I think that'd be
Yeah.
incredible.
Absolutely.
fun.
I would love that. Thank you guys so much for spending an hour with me, and like I said, chatting. It's been
Oh,
amazing.
that's-
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So
taking
good.
the time out.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you
Thanks
guys
so
have
much.
a good rest of your week.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
too.
you too.
Thanks again.
We'll talk
See
to you
later.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Ariel, thank you so much for coming on our show. We seriously had such a good time hearing from you about all of your amazing experiences working as a cast member in Disneyland. It's just an incredible thing that you got to do. Such special memories you got to make working there, and I just know everybody listening absolutely loved hearing everything you had to say. So thank you again for taking the time out to join us on the happiest hour on earth.
Yeah, definitely. And major shout out to all of the guest relation plaids out there.
Yeah.
You guys really make the magic, and not just you guys, all the cast members. So if you are a cast member listening right now, thank you. Thank you so much. You
Thank
make
you.
people's trips so special and so magical.
It's
and
true.
And it's always just so fun getting a little insight into their kind of day to day
Yeah.
and what they've had to
Haven't seen.
experience and got to experience. It's just
Yeah.
it's just so awesome to hear about. So
Yeah.
Ariel, thank you so much again for joining our show. It was a blast, and hope we meet in person sometime soon. That'd be
Yes.
so great. It'd be awesome. But anyways, thank you all for listening to our show. Your support means so much to us. We couldn't do this without you guys. And so we are going to be going into the park very soon. We cannot wait. If you don't follow us on Instagram already, go ahead and do so. We'll be posting a lot of some in park stories, and we'll have some new content soon. But
Yes. And we will not have an episode next week because that will be during our trip. So once we come back, we'll probably do a little recap episode talking about our time. But that will be the following week. So we will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.